Om Namo Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasa Tado Jayamudirahi. नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतीरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपदान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमः। ॐ विष्णु कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी निति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे नमो महावदान्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामने गौरत्विषे नमः। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधो जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे।
Hare Krishna. A reading from Shrimad Bhagavatam by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. We are reading from Canto 3, Chapter 4, Vidura approaches Maitreya. So we are here in the later section of the chapter where now Vidura is seeking further knowledge from Uddhava, while Uddhava is eager to depart for Badrikashram. Udit Krishna Prabhu, thank you so much. So we are at text 26. Uddhava Uvacha ननु ते तत्त्वसम्राध्य ऋषिकौशारवान्तिके साक्षात् भगवताद्दिष्टो मर्त्यलोकं जिहासता. Translation.
Sri Uddhava said, "You may take lessons from the great learned sage Maitreya, who is nearby and who is worshipable for reception of transcendental knowledge. He was directly instructed by the personality of Godhead while he was about to quit this mortal world." Purport. Although one may be well versed in the transcendental science, one should be careful about the offense of Maryada Vyatikrama, or impertinently surpassing a greater personality. According to scriptural injunctions, one should be very careful of transgressing the law of Maryada Vyatikrama, because by so doing, one loses his duration of life, his opulence, fame, and piety, and the blessings of all the world. To be well versed in the transcendental science necessitates awareness of the techniques of spiritual science. Uddhava, being well aware of all these techniques and transcendental science, advised Vidura to approach Maitreya Rishi to receive transcendental knowledge. Vidura wanted to accept Uddhava as his spiritual master. But Uddhava did not accept the post because Vidura was as old as Uddhava's father, and therefore Uddhava could not accept him as his disciple, especially when Maitreya was present nearby. The rule is that in the presence of a higher personality, one should not be very eager to impart instructions, even if one is competent and well versed. So Uddhava decided to send an elderly person like Vidura to Maitreya, another elderly person. But he was well versed also because he was directly instructed by the Lord while he was about to quit this mortal world. Since both Uddhava and Maitreya were directly instructed by the Lord, both had the authority to become the spiritual master of Vidura or anyone else. But Maitreya, being elderly, had the first claim to becoming the spiritual master, especially for Vidura, who was much older than Uddhava. One should not be eager to become a spiritual master cheaply for the sake of profit and fame, but should become a spiritual master only for the service of the Lord. The Lord never tolerates the impertinence of Maryada Vetikrama. One should never pass over the honor due to an elderly spiritual master in the interest of one's own personal gain and fame. Impertinence on the part of the pseudo spiritual master is very risky to progressive spiritual realization. Hare Krishna.
So here, Vidura is very, very eager to learn from Uddhava. But Uddhava said, Sri Uddhava Uvacha, you may take lessons from the great sage Maitreya, who is very nearby and is worshipable for the reception of the transcendental knowledge. He is just like me, just like Uddhava. He is also, Maitreya is also, Uddhava is saying, is directly instructed by the Supreme Lord when he was about to quit this mortal world. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada says that although one may be very well versed in the transcendental knowledge, one has to be always aware of Maryada Vyatikrama. Maryada Vyatikrama means impertinently surpassing a greater authority or a greater personality. And Prabhupada says that this Maryada Vyatikrama, one has to be very, very careful. Otherwise, there are disastrous effects of Vaishnava Aparadha. What are the effects? Later we'll see this. There is the loss of the duration of life, one's opulence, fame, piety, and blessings all can be lost by Maryada Vyatikrama. So one has to be very careful in dealing with the devotees. In fact, later when we see Maharaj Rahuguna, he is accidentally he chastises Jadabharata, and then Jadabharata begins to instruct him, and suddenly Maharaj Rahuguna, he comes to his senses, and he says this: Naham Vishanke Suraraj Vajran Natraksha Shulan Nayamasya Dandat Na Agni Arka Soma Anilavastra Vittapastrat Shanke Brisham Brahma Kulavamana. So he says, my dear sage, I am not afraid of these great personalities, their weapons, but I am extremely afraid of offending a great Vaishnava like you. So here Prabhupada says, although Uddhava was on the plane of the spiritual master of Vidura, so he was very qualified, he was transcendentally more advanced, more realized, but by age he was junior and he was as good as the son of Vidura. And when such a great personality was nearby as Maitreya, who was by age much more greater than even Vidura's age, then Uddhava felt that it is better for Vidura to go to Maitreya and receive lessons from him. Prabhupada says here one interesting point, that one should not be eager to become the spiritual master cheaply for the sake of profit and adoration and fame. It is not that one simply wants to learn something somewhere. Nowadays, this has become a fad. People will learn something from Chat GPT and they will start opening their courses, some online course or this or that, they will have it. So, in the process of doing so, without having sufficient realization, one may harm oneself or the subject, one who is learning from them. And Uddhava, although very qualified to be even the spiritual master of Vidura, he humbly guides Vidura to Maitreya, and he's follows this Vaishnava etiquette very, very carefully. Right. Text 27. श्रीशुक उवाच इति सह विदुरेण विश्वमूर्तेर्गुणकथाया सुधया प्लावित उरुताप क्षणमिव पुलिने यमस्वसुस्तां समूषितम् आपगवेर्निशां ततो गाग. Translation.
Translation. Sukadeva Goswami said, O king, after thus discussing with Vidura the transcendental name, fame, qualities, etc., on the bank of the Yamuna, Uddhava was overwhelmed with great affliction. He passed the night as if it were a moment, and thereafter he went away. Purport. The word used here for Krishna is Vishwamurti. Both Uddhava and Vidura were in great affliction because of Lord Krishna's departure, and the more they discussed the transcendental name, fame, and qualities of the Lord, the more the picture of the Lord became visible to them everywhere. Such visualization of the transcendental form of the Lord is neither false nor imaginary, but is factual, absolute truth. When the Lord is perceived as Vishwamurti, it is not that he loses his personality or transcendental eternal form, but he becomes visible in the same form everywhere. Hare Krishna.
So this is how Vidura and Uddhava, we have seen in the previous purport, they started their discussion at sunset, and the whole night they passed discussing the transcendental name, fame, qualities of Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. And both Uddhava and Vidura were such great devotees. They were discussing more and more, and more and more they were discussing about the Lord. More and more they could see the Supreme Lord everywhere, and therefore the word used here is Vishwamurti. Prabhupada says it beautifully. Prabhupada says here, the more they discussed about the transcendental name, fame, qualities of the Lord, more the picture of the Lord became visible to them everywhere. Okay. There is a beautiful verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita which says, स्थावर जंगम न देखी तार मूर्ति सर्व इष्ट देव स्फूर्ति. It says that स्थावर jangam will not see. In great love of the Lord, one will see the Supreme Lord everywhere. Right. Just like when a young boy is in love with the girl, that time he will just see, the girls only everywhere. He sees some rose, he will remember, oh, I will gift her. Srila Rupa Goswami gives this example. So wherever he will see everything in relationship with her. Similarly, to the degree we hear more about Krishna Katha, we do service toward the Supreme Lord, we chant His holy names, we do our regular Varnashrama activities very wonderfully, meticulously, as a service to the Supreme Lord, that will increase our, the rati towards the Supreme Lord. That will increase our transcendental affection, love towards the Supreme Lord, and then Lord will become visible everywhere, and therefore is called as Vishwamurti. So although the Lord is Vishwamurti, he is not losing his form. Okay, that is very important. This is not the Mayavadi understanding that Lord became everywhere and everything became Lord and Lord, original Lord is lost. No, Prabhupada says the Lord is Vishwamurti, but he retains his own personality and he becomes everywhere in the same Shamasundar form to his pure devotee. Text 28. So now from 28 to 32, we see here that Uddhava's very special role in Lord Krishna's disappearance. So here the king is going to ask the question. Rajo Vacha Nidhanam Upagateshu Vrishni Nidhanam Upagateshu Vrishni Bhoje Adhiratas Yuthapeshu Samukhyah Sadukkatham Vashishta Uddhavodiyat Dharirapit Tyatyaja Akritim Tryadhishah. Translation.
The king inquired, at the time of the pastimes of the Lord of three worlds, Sri Krishna, and after the disappearance of the members of the Vrishni and Bhoja dynasties, who were the best of the great commanders, why did Uddhava alone remain? Purport. According to Sri Jiva Goswami, Nidhanam means the transcendental abode of the Lord. Ni means highest, and Dhanam means opulence. And because the abode of the Lord is the highest manifestation of transcendental opulence, his abode can therefore be called Nidhanam. Apart from the grammatical elucidation, the real purpose of the word Nidhanam is to indicate that all the members of the Vrishni and Bhoja dynasties were direct associates of the Lord, and after the end of his pastimes, all the associates were dispatched to their respective positions in the transcendental abode. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur elucidates the meaning of Akritim as pastimes. A means complete and Kritim means transcendental pastimes. Since the Lord is identical with his transcendental body, there is no question of his changing or quitting his body to act in accordance with the rules and customs of the material world. The Lord seems to take his birth or leave his body, but the pure devotees of the Lord know well the actual fact. It is necessary, therefore, for the serious students of Srimad Bhagavatam to follow the notes and comments of great acharyas like Jiva Goswami and Vishwanath Chakravarti. To others who are not devotees of the Lord, the comments and explanations of such acharyas may appear to be grammatical jugglery, but to the students who are in the line of disciplic succession, the explanations of the great acharyas are quite fit. The Lord the word Upagateshu is also significant. All the members of Roshni and Bhoja directly reach the abode of the Lord. Other devotees do not reach the abode of the Lord directly, but pure associates of the Lord have no attraction for the opulence of any planets of the material world. Sometimes, due to inquisitiveness, devotees who are to be promoted to the abode of Lord have some attraction for the opulence of the higher material planets above the earth, and thus they desire to see them while going up to the perfection. But the Vrishnis and Bhujas were directly dispatched because they had no attraction for material planets. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur also suggests that according to Amarakosha dictionary, Akriti also means signal. Lord Krishna ordered Uddhava by signal to go to Badrikashram after his departure, and Uddhava, as a pure devotee of the Lord, carried out the order more faithfully than going back to Godhead or the abode of the Lord. That was the cause of his remaining alone even after the departure of the Lord from the face of the earth.
So now, Rajovacha, Parikshit Maharaj is inquiring, O Shukadeva Goswami, why at the end of the pastimes of the Lord, who is this Lord? The Lord is Triadishaha. Triadisha means the master of the three worlds. Okay, previous one of the verses we have already seen this word, Triadishaha. You know, the master of three. The Supreme Lord is called as master of three. Why did, although the members of the Vrishni and the Bhoja dynasties, they were dispatched to their respective abode, why did Uddhava alone remain? Uddhava is such a great devotee of the Lord, such a very, very dear associates. In fact, in the Dwaraka, everybody knew Uddhava to be the most dearest devotee. Always Lord Krishna was with Uddhava. There is very beautiful Brihad Bhagavatamrit. And in Brihad Bhagavatamrit, Narad Muni is searching for the greatest devotee. And finally he comes to Dwaraka, and all the Dwarkavasi says, no, no, you consider we are fortunate, but amongst us, Uddhava is most fortunate. And this Uddhava, although all the Dwarkavasis, they went back home, back to Godhead or to their respective planets within the universe, Uddhava still remained. You know, just like we see that Hanumanji, such a dear devotee of the Supreme Lord Shri Ram, everybody went back to Saket Dham, Ayodhya, but Hanumanji remained. Similarly, here, Uddhava also remained. And he's asking, why did Uddhava remain so? In the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes that Srila Prabhupada is going to stress on the three words, referring to the commentary of Jiva Goswami and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Nidhanam means the transcendental abode of the Lord. Ni means highest, means the opulence, and therefore the abode of the Lord is also called as Nidhanam. Okay. So generally the Nidhanam is taken as destruction, or Nidhanam is taken as loss of a dhana. But another beautiful explanation by Srila Jiva Goswami is that abode of the Lord is also called as Nidhanam. And the real purpose of Nidhanam is that all the members of the Vrishni and the Bhoja dynasty, because they were direct associates of the Lord, either they went back home, back to Godhead, or went to take on their respective administrative positions to manage the universe. The next word is Akrutim. So Akriti refers to the beautiful form of the personality of Godhead. We know that Lord and his body, they are not different, they are the same. For Jiva, there is a difference between Deha and Dehi. Dehi nosmin yatha Dehi, one who is sitting inside Dehi. Deha is different, Dehi is different, and that's why our body is constantly changing. But in the case of the Supreme Lord, Ishvara, Paramakrishna, Satchid Ananda Vigraha. The form of the Lord is Satchid Ananda Vigraha. So there is no difference between, there is nothing called a soul of Krishna and body of Krishna. No. Krishna, the body, the personality, they are all the same. And this is the meaning of Akriti. And Prabhupada says another meaning of Akriti is signal. Signal means Lord Krishna just signal Uddhava that he should be not coming back with him to the spiritual world, but should remain here and go to Badrika Ashram and deliver his message to the sages of Badrika Ashram and perform his this remaining balance duty of this incarnation of Krishna avatar. And this was all done simply by in gesture, signal, which Uddhava perfectly understood, and as a pure devotee, he perfectly followed the instructions of the Supreme Lord. Prabhupada says this is available, this instruction, this depth in understanding of the scriptures is available by the mercy of such great acharyas as Srila Jiva Goswami and Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. And therefore, the serious students of the Bhagavatam should follow the notes and the comments of the great acharyas like Srila Jiva Goswami and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. So what it means is serious students in spiritual life should progressively become, first they should register for Bhakti Shastri course, then they should register for understanding Bhagavatam more deeply, so on and so forth. Right. So within the realm of devotional service, one should progressively, not immediately today we have to register. Progressively, slowly, steadily, one should look forward. Yes, I want to study Bhagavad Gita more deeply, where commentaries of the acharyas they are being, and ISKCON has very wonderful courses like this. Mayapur Institute, then there is a Vrindavan Institute of Higher Education, MIHE, VIHE. Pune has one wonderful institute where many speakers are there. So one has to progressively look for the progressive knowledge. And Prabhupada says here, therefore, the serious student should follow the notes and commentaries of the great Vaishnava Acharyas, especially Jiva Goswami and Vishwanath Chakravarti. Similarly, the word Upagateshu is also mentioned here. That Upagateshu means that these personalities who were supposed to go to the spiritual world, they directly reached the spiritual world. So when a living entity is going from material world to spiritual world, there is because he is going to pass through the universe, there is chance that some living entity may become a little more curious and they want to visit some other planet also. There is a beautiful story of Janak Maharaj. So Janak Maharaj, father of Mother Sita, when he was going back home, back to Godhead, he just desired, he expressed his desire to the Vaikuntha, Vishnu Dutas. And he expressed his desire and he said that, I want to see even the hellish planets. So on our way, can we just take a detour and see this, what's happening? And then I want to go to the spiritual world. And Vishnudutas were very happy to take him. So they all took to the hellish, Janak Maharaj to hellish planet. And when Janak Maharaj, the way Janakadaya, right, the great personality he was, when he saw, this suffering in the hellish planet, he felt very, very sad momentarily. But within the hellish planet, the breeze that touched the lotus feet and the body, the personality of Janak Maharaj, that began to flow from Janak Maharaj to the heaven, to the hellish planets. And suddenly, the hellish planets, all these residents of the hellish planet, they were feeling great sense of happiness, satisfaction, contentment. And they were wondering that, we are suffering so much, suddenly how there is happiness. And this news reached, this became a big news. And, this news reached to Janak Maharaj. And Janak Maharaj said, oh, if I am giving some happiness to these personalities who are actually nobody than the living entities, I will be happy to remain here for a long time. And Vishnudas said, no, my dear Janak Maharaj, simply by your desire to liberate them, they will be given better chance. So what is the point here is that a devotee on the back home back to Godhead, he has facility to visit all the heavenly planets. But Prabhupada says, a devotee should not be interested in visiting other, the other places, because there is always a chance that one may get enamored by those enjoyment, and one may want to halt there only. So somebody is taking us back home, back to Godhead. We are sitting in Vaikuntha aeroplane, and we come across the heavenly planet, and if we just stop there for a while, then one may just get the enjoying mentality once again, and when we want to be there, stay there, or something may happen. Yeah, right. I have a very wonderful example for this. Way 15 years back, one devotee, he had given a huge donation from Singapore, and he said that he was a voice devotee, and he said that, Prabhuji, I want His Grace Radhesham Prabhu to come to Singapore. And Radhesham Prabhu said that I will not come, I will not go alone, because he is your counselee. We both will go. So then, that time, that was my first, visit abroad, and I was very excited. And Radhesham Prabhu, and Singapore, the way it is, saffron is not very easily allowed inside. So Radhesham Prabhu just changed himself into, at the airport, he changed himself into shirt and pant. He was looking like a very studious IIT boy. And I was also in a shirt and pant. And then I just told Radhesham Prabhu that, Prabhuji, can I take a window seat? I just want to see what's happening, when the plane is up. And he said, yeah, please sit there. And then whole 5.5 hours of journey, Radhesham Prabhu was so engrossed in reading Bhagavatam. This I'm telling you something 20 years back, 15 years back. That other, the passengers within the flight, they were asking me, and Radhesham Prabhu looks very young also. Now also he looks so young, just imagine 15 years back, and he was in shirt pant, and not to show the shaven head, he had put up some muffler there on the top. And the other passengers, they were asking, he is preparing for IIT. I said, yes. What to tell them that he is, the topper of IIT, topper of IIT, and he is a temple president. He is, such a elevated personality. Anyway, so whole time he was reading, I was just looking around, outside, window, niche. I was just, and then because Radhesham Prabhu sitting next to me, he is reading. I also read for some time. And then we landed in Singapore. So Radhesham Prabhu said, see, Mukundanand, I will take some congregation program. You speak some pastimes of Maharaj, Prabhupada, book reading, this thing. You do it for the boys. I will do for the congregation. And, it happened like that. And then one devotee asked me, Prabhuji, you have come to Singapore all the way. Why don't you take a Singapore tour? And I was also really interested. Then I asked Radhesham Prabhu that, Prabhuji, can we go for a tour of Singapore? It's a half-day tour. I not really enjoy Singapore in the sense, I'm not just taking a tour. And then Radhesham Prabhu showed me this verse, and he said that, see, I'm not interested so much in the material manifestation of Maya. You take a tour because you are a young boy. I will take another couple of programs I will have. And then I was feeling so embarrassed. So there was no question of me taking tour. But this is the point, that a pure devotee of the Lord, and of course, we have to act according to our level of advancement. We don't have to imitate a pure devotee. But the point is, there is always a chance of getting enamored when we are seeing a place of enjoyment, even on this planet or on the higher planets, right? So Prabhupada says, devotees of the Lord, they are not interested to visit the heavenly planet just to peep in Indra, what Indra is doing, what Chandra is doing, what Varuna is doing, and what they are drinking and with whom they are dancing. Okay. So, and this is the meaning of the word upagateshu, that the devotee of the Lord, they directly go back to Godhead without any attraction for the material planets, right? So next, only we'll cover the translation part, and we'll see the purport discussion tomorrow. Text 29. Sri Shuka Uvacha Brahmashap Apadeshena Kalena Amugavanchitah Samvritya Swakulam Spitam Chakshandeham Achintayat. Translation.
Translation.
Goswami replied,
My dear king, the cursing of the Brahmanas was only a plea but the actual fact was the supreme desire of God, of the Lord. He wanted to disappear from the face of the earth after dispatching his excessive numerous
His family members, he thought to himself
as follows. Purpose. In this
Purport
work,
we'll see tomorrow, Mataji, because we are 7:40 already. So Brahma Shapena. So here the Shukadeva Goswami said, "My dear king, cursing of the Brahmanas was only a plea that he wanted to send his powerful, numerous, and powerful associates, Yadavas, back home, back to Godhead." So Yadava is becoming intoxicated. They doing this is just a drama. So that Lord Krishna wanted to conclude Yadava dynasty because he was Lord Krishna was aware that if he departs and he leaves Yadavas in the separation from the Supreme Lord, Yadavas will become so uncontrolled they may destroy entire planet Earth. Therefore, he decided first he will dispatch the Yadavas to their respective abodes, and then he will close his pastimes. So we will conclude here and continue tomorrow. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Bhakta
Jai.
Vrinda ki jai. Thank you, Prabhupada.
Jai.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Prabhupada,
Prabhupada.
thank
Thank
you,
you,
Prabhuji, Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhupada.
thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.